Hello, Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the man cave. Now this is the FMS 1220mm Ranger or 1.22 meter Ranger. Now I got the 1800mm, which is up there somewhere. I got it, great flying plane, but I wanted to get the smaller one, a little more compact. And I've had this years ago when it was very first released, and I flew the dog mess out of it and ended up selling it to somebody. And actually I flew it, I think I want to say, as I just started the channel. And I had a few videos on it when I first learned how to fly before I joined any club or anything, and I was flying at the Lake Wills soccer field. And but now I'm a little more experienced now, and I can more appreciate this plane. Yes, I know it's not like I'm going backwards, so I know how to fly a lot of jets and everything. But I just really like a good solid Ranger. This is modeled after, I want to say, a Cessna 150, I believe. Just like the big Ranger. Now I don't have any plans on getting a really little one. The little one runs on 2S, but I wanted this one. That way I can kind of compare, and that way if you don't really want something quite that big as the 1800mm, the 1220 would be a better choice. So let's unbox it and put it together. It should be a very simple build if I remember right. Then I'll do a separate video for the radio setup. Now lately I've been trying to do my radio rates and CG videos after the maiden. That way I can give you proven rates, but I have flown this plane before, and I can already tell you it's going to be 100% throws and 30% expo all the way around. I could set up flap arounds if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to simply set this up as a traditional 4-channel plane. However, since it has the reflex, and we want to be able to use all three levels of the reflex system, which would be their stabilized mode or their self-level mode, which I'm not really sure what they call it. I think they call it stability mode. And then I'm going to use, and then you got their gyro mode, which is like optimized, which is like AS3X or wind mitigation. I think that's what they call it. And then no gyro, where it's just manual mode. There's no help from the gyro at all. You want to be able to have all three of those modes, and that way, it's good to have the gyro be able to turn that off. And that way, if the gyro was to malfunction or something, you can turn it off and still be able to control your plane. It's always a good thing to have the option to turn the gyro off, if at all possible. And that's best to get the plane trimmed out. I prefer to have the gyro off. Uh-oh, here's something I don't like. Right off the bat, look at that manual. Now, how am I going to leave that flat on the deck to look at it? So I don't like folded manuals, but that's just a gripe that most of us have. I'll be installing, but because of that gyro system, like I say, it's 4 channels, 4, not 5, 4, and I need at least there's no such thing as a 5-channel receiver that I know of. So you'll need a 6-channel receiver, and an AR630, I'm sorry, AR620 is absolutely perfect. The plane comes with its installed stock gyro, the reflex too. So why buy an AR631 or an AR630 that has its own gyro installed? You're going to have 2 gyro systems fighting against each other, and you're wasting money. You've already paid for the $20, $30 upgrade in the price of this with a reflex, or you paid for a more expensive gyro receiver when this is really all you need, and use the reflex that's installed. And get what you pay for. Alright. And as always, packed where you could throw it off the back of the bus. Very, very nice. If I remember right, yeah, you can see the individual cells, but you certainly can't feel them. Everything's taped up and protected. All your linkages are already. The hinge is, yeah, the hinge has laminate to protect it in there. Nice markings, nice yellow vibrant color. Nice gear that's got some give to it. Another wing. Very nice. spar goes, oh gosh, yeah, I didn't realize spar goes almost all the way to the end, and that's solid foam. And that this type of a wing that has a curve, I don't know what the aerodynamic, what that's called, but I know that helps you with preventing stalls. Well, I mean, it's nothing going to completely prevent a stall, but that helps you with it. Okay. Little bag of goodies. It looks like possibly a 1.5 or a 2 millimeter hex drive is all we're going to need to put together. Okay. Not a very big plane, but definitely good flying plane. I enjoyed the first one. I really wish I hadn't sold it, but a club member wanted it more than I had it, so I sold it to him. All right, very nice, very nice, very nice. All right. Well, for some reason my video cut out, and I can't figure out how to keep it from not cutting out. But we're going to go ahead, and I've got everything else out of the box. Be careful taking the box, because then the spinner will. It was in the box loose, and it came out, and it pops in and out pretty easy. Mine looks like it's just barely on there, so I may have to glue mine on, because that's just, I mean, that's going to easily come off. So may have to glue mine on. All right, you got a nice, very nice wheel there. Plenty of room in the battery bay. Okay. Now remember, it grooves just like on the big one. You put the top in first, pull that latch, and that's in there. Plenty of room in there. And in there is where you're going to put your receiver, and that's where the reflex is. Everything's labeled for your ease. Okay, let me check the video, make sure we're still running. All right, it appears we're still filming. All right, so we got the fuselage, got your landing gear, front nose gear is already installed, got a very nice elevator with a, yeah, there's a little bit of laminate in there to reinforce that hinge. Okay. We got both the wings, your bag of goodies, and somewhere in here, you know what? It must still be in the box, is my wing spar. I'll have to go back in the box and find it. All right, we're going to pause there, get our materials together, get our building materials together, which is basically just the right screwdriver. We'll be right back. All right, now we got all of our materials together, got everything out of the box. Let's go ahead and start putting this beautiful plane, great little plane together. You're going to start with your landing gear. Okay. Now if you notice, see the shape there, right there? If you look on the underside of the wing, on the underside of the fuselage, you see a little half moon shape. Well, that gives you a telltale sign of how that goes in there. It's going to fit in there. It only fits in one way. Keys right in. One thing I do recommend whenever you're putting any plane together, have yourself these little magnetic trays. And make sure that we are, okay, we are clear. All right. These little magnetic trays. Now this has a bunch of screws in it, but they're all the same screws, and they're all the same size. Okay? You even got the little tool you need, a little Allen wrench. Okay, these are all, should be 2 millimeter hex drives, and you got your one rod, or your one push rod that you're going to use for your elevator. So go ahead and open that up. All right, and those two large plastic screws, these are actually what hold your wing on, and they're very handy. Like I say, all these screws. Oh, look, wait, no, I'm wrong. There are some small, different sizes, but they all use the same kind of tool. All right. You got 5 of these longer ones, and then 5 of the shorter ones. Okay? So let's make sure of which size we're going to use. Ah, that's what it is. Okay. Notice you've got 2 holes. You're going to use the longer ones for the back half and the shorter ones for the front half. Okay? So we've already put that in there, which makes sense. So you're going to take your two longer ones, drop them in here like that. Okay. Maybe. And then your two shorter ones, see how they just kind of, they're flush, they just kind of fit down in there, just like that. Okay. You're going to take your thing, it's already got all the screws installed, already in there. Set that in place, it only lines up one way. 2mm hex drive. And go to town. They have a very obvious bottoming out point. You start hearing that noise there, stop. You have bottomed out. Now, for the tail, okay, we're still, oh, all right. Only goes one way. Where you see this hard plastic doubler and it's all white, this is the bottom of the plane. You can see there's like a little groove right in there. And that right there, and that's just going to tongue and groove right on in there. Just like that, nice and snug. Okay. We'll take our longer hex screws. Yeah, you can tell when it gets bite. When you start seeing the plastic dent in around that foam, stop. That is tight enough. If you notice, I'm kind of supporting it with my hand underneath. Yeah. All right, that foam's starting to dent in there. I get my tool out of there. All right, I know that I am more than tight enough, and that is nice and flush and in there. Now, the wings are very simple. However, at this point, don't put the wings on yet. Okay, this is where you're going to take your receiver of choice. Okay, and coming off, you're going to see the top towards the front of the plane. Okay. One thing, take this time to undo the hatch. Take your XT60 and route it forward. See where it's dipping down? Grab a hold of it. Okay, get that going that way. Okay, then on the front of the reflex, okay, where, see down here, this area down here, that's the front of the reflex. Those wires going out are all labeled. That's what you're going to put into your receiver. Okay, so I'll grab a hold of all them wires. I've got all these wires, and the only thing not accounted for are these two wires that have these little locking clamps. This is what's going to hook to the aileron servos that goes directly to the reflex. Don't mess with those right now. Now you're going to want to take your receiver, okay, which I'm using an AR620, and you're going to plug it in. Now plug it into a Spectrum receiver. If you look on the side of a Spectrum receiver, it's got numbers 1 through 6, okay? But you're saying that also one says a BATT. Well, so technically there's 7 ports on here, okay? Well, that BATT is for a battery in case you were running this directly off of a battery in like a big balsa plane or something, and you just were powering the receiver, okay? That's what that's for. That's also the programming cable if these were programmable. And it can also be used as a power port. If you had like a low voltage light or something you want to add, you could do that also. It's also could be used as the traditional bind plug port. All right, but I'm going to use the bind plug itself. So think of that as channel 0. Okay. So now I'm going to now channel 1 is always throttle. Okay. And when you hook up a receiver, let me get you closer, because this is something a lot of people mess up and they figure out why my plane's not working. Well, and because they don't do the polarity right with a receiver. Okay. The top of the receiver, 99% of the time, the top of the receiver is where your signal is going to go. Okay, you got 3 plugs. Okay, you got 3 connection points. The top is always the signal, almost 99% of the time is a signal. The middle is your positive, and then your bottom is your negative. Okay, as far as power. So I'm going to take my throttle, I'm going to put it in channel 1, not channel 0, but channel 1, with the yellow wire, which is the signal wire, up. Plug that in until it bottoms out. The next one on spectrum now, is always aileron. Okay, for channel 2 is aileron. Okay. Channel 3, elevator. Remember, I got the signal wire up. Okay. Channel 4 is always rudder. So there's your 4 basic channels. Okay. You say, well, wait a minute, you got this left over. Well, this says this is S-bus. This is what you need a channel 4 to control the 3 channels of the reflex. This is also what gives the reflex power. Now I'm going to put that in my gear channel, okay, or channel 5, or I could put it in channel 6, but I could be used for flaps. But instead, I'm going to use it in my gear channel. If that way, all the servos leads are all nice and tight. And if you look, I see nothing but yellow. All the wires. That way, I know all my signal wires are on the top of the receiver. Okay. Now, all right. When I said I was going to get my receiver ready, actually, I got everything ready. Actually, I'm going to get my transmitter ready. Now, all I've done is I've gone in here. I've taken an aggro model. I've given it the name of FMS Ranger 1220 millimeter. As you can see up here, or down here. Ranger plug and play. Timer set for 5 minutes. And I've already set my rates. Okay. Oops, sorry. Already got my rates set for high rates of 100% throws or 30% expo on the aileron and on the elevator. 90% for mid. Okay. 80% for low on aileron, mid or 90, high or 100. Same thing for the elevator. On the rudder, 100%, 30% expo only. Okay. I've already got my throttle cut on my H switch. So now I'm ready to bind the airplane. So, got myself a 2200 I'm going to be using, a Hyperion, already mounted in there. Okay. I've not mounted the receiver yet because I want to show you where I'm going to do that, but I want to bind the aircraft first. Okay, I'm going to plug it in. Yes, I know about the prop on. I should do that in here, but the way that the spinner was, I just wanted to, I know it's got nothing to do with it, but I did. I'm staying away, I'm being careful. Okay. Well, hold the bind plug down, see its flash. I'm going to go to my hit bind. We got to hold your
binding. Bind complete. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry.
Alright. Now, my throttle cut's on.
Timer start. Timer stop. Timer start.
See
timer
now?
Stop.
Okay.
Timer start.
Hush
timer.
Timer.
Stop.
I'll disable that in a minute. So if you look at my rudder. Rudder works. Okay, so I know I've got proper communication. I'm not worried about the direction of the traveling. I just want to know that the receiver is receiving signal and they're talking to each other. So now I'm going to mount that receiver. Okay? As you can see, got this receiver hanging off the side. Right? I've already got the double-sided tape. That blank wall there, that's where I'm going to mount it. Okay? In the middle of the aircraft. Oh, and just so you know, when I was getting everything out of the box, I was thinking there's no Wingspan. The wing spar is in the wing already. There is no place to put a wing spar. You just join the two wing halves together and there is no wing spar. Alright, it's already installed in the wing. Take that off. Okay, I'm going to mount this to the side. Hold that in place, being careful not to hit the bind button. Just hold it in place. Let that tape get a real good connection. Okay. Now, these two pigtails we talked about. Okay. Go ahead and tuck my battery wires down, because at this point I can go ahead and close the hatch. Remember, you're going to want to put the black in first. Put that down. Okay. Now you had these were all taped down. Go ahead and take them and pull these out with your fingers. That gets them nice and straight. Okay. This wing's going to be on this side, and this wing's going to be on that side. Okay. And if you look, join that together there. Join that together there. You're going to turn your wing over, and now you had two of those. One long screw, one short screw left over. The long screw is going to go where this where this thicker section is. Okay. Should have done this part with the build or with it earlier, but I'll join that. That makes this wing a nice one piece. This is your last bottoming out point. Now you're going to take this last short screw, the shorter screw, and you're going to put that right there. Put your finger behind it, kind of support it. And this is a feature that wasn't on the first one. I like this. Okay. I got my finger back here supporting it. Alright, now that makes that wing nice and rigid, which is what you want. Okay. Take these, make sure you don't hit them too hard because you could break this point. Okay. Take your wing, pull these forward. Okay, just kind of let your wing rest there. Let's get you closer. This is where I'm going to take these two pigtails, and it's very important. You see, you got yellow there, and you got yellow there. That's the way the polarity works. You want to line these up. I really should have the prop off. I should have done this without the prop on. So you veteran builders, I know I'm doing a faux pas there by not, just a safety thing. Don't have the prop off. I shouldn't do this, but I just didn't do it. Make sure you line those up. Those kind of, you'll feel a very definite lock-in point. Okay. All right. Now, watch the aileron. Watch that aileron down there. Okay, and I hear it down at the other end, so I know they're working. So now, this is a careful point where you might bust something, so you want to let those drop down in there. Be careful of them struts. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, tongue and groove. You can see these two hard points where there's hard receiving points there. Make sure all your wires are out of the way. You don't want to pinch. Tongue and groove that in. Careful not to hit them struts. Let that fall down in there like that. Okay. All right. This would be a good point. Hold your plane. Don't mess with your struts just yet. These are your wing struts. You're going to grab these two little screws. As you can see, there's a key. Okay. You put them in. There's little arrows that tell you which way to turn. That goes in there like that, and then locks in place. Okay. This goes in here with the peg, the sharp point out, in place. Okay. Now hold on. Let's go ahead and get these struts working. The way you get these struts to work. Okay. You see this key end point here? That just goes in there like that and then pushes it back. Okay, the strut here, hard point there, and and that locks into place. Okay, now let's address this one wing bolt. It doesn't want to. Okay, see how they're thicker? One end, the thicker end is going to go towards the front of the plane. See? Just like that. And that wing is on there. Alright, now we know, okay, that everything, because I've already got this thing bound up, all my servos are centered, set up. Now, got your push rod. Flex the fuel tubing down to relieve tension off of that. As you can see, obviously it's not connected. I know my elevator is perfectly centered. Okay? If you want maximum throws or the most deflection, then you're going to want to go to the inside hole. You're going to hook this up or hook this in, the clevis, to the inside hole. If you want it to be a less throws, but still supposed to be sporty, then you're going to go to the outside, and of course you got a middle hole. I'm going to go to the middle to kind of split the difference. Okay, I'm going to give maximum deflection with the servo arm, which is the arm that's off the servo. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the middle hole. Now, this is the teeth there, the little connection part is a little peg there, is hanging as longer than the screws that it goes, or the holes that are there for it. So let me show you how you get around that. See, that middle peg is beyond the holes there. So I'm going to hold my elevator here, and I know that's level. Okay, I know that my thing is level. So in order to get this peg to line up with that hole, this whole piece is going to have to screw inwards, which I'm really glad, because it's much better for it to have to go in than go out, because you can only go out so far, but you can go in a good ways. Now hopefully that peg almost lines up. I probably went too far. Looks like that's going to line it perfectly. Pick it out. And go through the center. Okay, and that is now. You know what? I think I am going to go to the inside. Okay. To the furthest one in, get the most deflection. Let me see if that still is okay. Okay, all the way in now. And that gives me the most deflection. I'll pop that in place. And that is pretty level there. Oh. See? That may need to come down just a touch. Let me undo that. Okay, so I need to go down that way. So loosen a little bit. And let's look at that on the side there. I'm looking right across the thing to make sure that looks pretty good. Pop that in place. All right, now that's just a plastic little stopper. So if you keep undoing it, eventually you're going to wear that off. And now you just got to replace this clevis because that little peg is no longer holding in there. Let's address the direction of throws and make sure everything's going the right way. Okay. Now, right aileron. That's going the wrong way. So the ailerons are going the wrong way. Okay. Up elevator. No. Going the wrong way. Maybe the rudder's working right. Okay. The rudder is the only thing that's correct. So, this is where we're going to go to model adjust. Okay. Servo setup. Okay. We know that the ailerons are backwards. So this is already set to reverse there. Hit that and hit elevator. Now go back to model adjust. Back to the home screen. All right, now when I go right aileron, that aileron should go up, and it does. Left aileron, right? When I pull back on the elevator, it should go up, and it does. And the right aileron, and of course the rudder's already in good shape. All right, so now we have the basics taken care of to fly the plane. I have a throttle cut in place. And all my control surfaces are ready to go, and I have a timer set for 5 minutes. Okay, now let's talk about the 3 levels. Okay, the 3 levels of that gyro. So what I want to do, so I'm going to go to model setup now, and I'm going to go to channel assign. Okay, the RF signal's off. Okay, remember I plugged that in the gear channel, except I don't, or channel 5, but I don't want it to be on A. For all my gyro systems, I like them on my B switch. So I'm going to toggle that. So that's on my B switch now. See how it changed, gear changed to B? All right, back.
Holds 1.
Okay, yeah, because it lost signal for a second. Okay, so that tells me now that my B switch controls all 3 levels of the gyro. So let's see how that works. I'm going to put this in the furthest down position, and let's see what happens. Looky there. In the furthest away position, or channel, or position 0, look at that aileron. Look at how those ailerons are holding their position. What does that tell you what would happen? It would self-right the plane. Look at that elevator pitch up. And it's holding its position. So that tells me that they assigned it by default that the lowest position for channel B, okay, is the self level or gyro or stability mode. So if I go to the middle position, nothing is happening. Okay. Oh yeah, I got model control, but I don't hear any gyros. So that tells me then that the 3rd position, see, the gyros are just moving, but they're returning. So in other words, that's the same as wind mitigation. Okay. Now I want to make sure everything's working is going the right way, even though I know it did was they're safe. So if I push up on the aileron, it goes against my hand. Okay. If I push up with the elevator, the gyro should push the elevator against my hand, and it does. If the rudder's going the right way, if I push the rudder this way, if I push the tail this way, then that rudder should turn in that direction. And it does. Okay, so now I know that my gyro is set up correctly. Okay. I know my throttle cut is set up correctly. Again, I should not have this prop on. Please, please, please don't always do as I do. As I say, don't have your prop on in the shop. I'm at fault for doing that. Okay. Should not have done that. Okay, but my throttle cut is on. So, but I've got the gyro set up. Okay. I've got all the control surfaces going the right way, and I'm now ready for flight, except for one crucial thing we haven't done. We haven't figured out CG. And CG is very, very important. Less important with a plane like this, because you almost can't get it wrong if you put the battery in it, or the right size battery in it. But you still, if the CG is way off, then the thing's going to fly like crap. Let's say, okay, 50 to 60 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing. So in other words, from here, 50 to 60. Okay, so the way you find that, take like a caliper tool here. Okay, I want to get my plane stand again, or you can use a ruler, or whatever you want to use. But I like using this because I can set it. Okay. Turn my model upside down, because I'm going to make marks on the wings, and I don't want them on the top of the wing. I want them on the bottom side. So I'm going to set this caliper to 60 millimeters, which is right there. Okay. I'm going to take, and I'm just going to put one there. And then with the other tip of this caliper, I'm going to make a little indent in the foam. Okay? Okay? And then I'm going to take a little marker. I'll mark that spot. Okay? Now I'm going to set it for 50 millimeters. Okay, now it's 50 millimeters. Make a little mark in the foam. Okay? Same thing on the other side. Set it for 60. set it there. Make a little mark in the foam. Okay. Set it for 50. Little mark in the foam. All right. Now, looky there. I've got 2 reference points, and I know that the middle between those two reference points is my 50 to 60 CG. So that's where my CG is. So at the field, you're going to put your fingers, you're going to look under there, you're going to put your fingers right in between those two, right there. Okay, and she CGs just perfectly. But let's do it a little more definitive. If you're lucky enough to find one of these things, CG machine, it may not let me because of the gear and the struts, but we will see. No, it's not going to let me because the way the gear and the struts. Let's try it this way, maybe. Maybe it'll let me this way. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put it, line it up there. Line it up there. Okay. Just so. All right. That's pretty good. Now, if I was to put a slightly lighter battery, I got the biggest battery they recommend, which is a 2200. I'm pretty sure a 2200 is as big as you're going to want in this plane. But you anywhere from a 1300. Yeah. But what's recommended is a 1300 millimeter, 1300 3S. That's a tiny little battery. So, just for giggles, let's take this 2200 out of here, okay? Because we know she sits slightly to the nose, slightly nose heavy with a 2200. This is what I recommend. For this 2200, you're going to get a long flight. Probably get 8 minutes of flight out of this thing. That's what I'm going to be using to fly as a 2200. My Superior, this has a 50C. But, just to show you for the argument of CG, let's put a 1300 in there. Zippy. Okay? We'll put that in there. So I'll put it all the way forward, close my hatch. Okay. And still on my CG marks here and there, and she's still CG's fine. Okay, well, there you go. We've covered CG 50 to 60 millimeters back. We're going to do rates of high rates of 100% over 30% expo, mid rates and the mid rates of 80 or 90% over 30% expo, and then low of 80 over 30% expo on ailerons and elevator. And we're going to run 100% expo or 100% throws with 30% expo on the rudder all with one rate. I've put the plane together. I've showed you how to set up your different levels. All right, well, there you go. I think we've covered everything. We are now flight ready and ready to go. The only thing I might do is give the plane a clear coat of the polyacrylic, which will protect the foam. And I didn't even do this with a Ranger. But if I do it, this is the product you use. You can paint this on, or you can do the spray. Just make sure you don't get much in the hinges. If you get too much in the hinges, it'll gum it up. All right, folks. Well, that is the unboxing, build, and radio setup for the Ranger 1220 millimeter. The next thing to do will be flying her, which we're going to do that in a few hours. All right, y'all have a good one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless you. God is great. And this is the Ranger 1220 millimeter from FMS. And there'll be a link in the video, in the description of the video, to purchase it. And if you use that link, you'll help my channel out. I'll get a commission. Still, if you use the link, you buy the plane, doesn't cost you a penny more, but you're going to help me out, and I do appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all, and see you at the field. Bye-bye.